Yeah, and I want to introduce I'm sure you'll be phenomenal cast, Duplass and Tatiana Maslany.
So, Tom, obviously very personal film for you. How did you know the time was right to make your directorial debut? Like what?
Well, yeah, it wasn't actually my choice in many ways. Jamie Adams, who produced the film, is a director that I worked with before, and he called me up to offer me a part in one of his films. But unfortunately, I couldn't do it because of scheduling. And we got into a conversation, and the Duplass brothers came up, and I was like, oh man, yeah, Jamie Duplass, God, I love him so much, and I've got this idea for this film with him and Tatiana, and I kind of soft pitched it accidentally over the phone to him. And he was like, that sounds good, because Jamie produces films as well. He said, that sounds quite good, write me a one-pager. I was like, okay, never written a one-pager before, but okay, so I wrote it that night, and I think he called me back the next day or the day after saying, okay, I've got you £100,000 to make a film. You have to make it in 3 months. Blimey. So I was like, I better get in contact with Duplass. Like, so I didn't know him. I met him once, and I gushed, and it was really embarrassing. And I sent Jay the one-pager to his agents, and luckily he said yes. So and I didn't have anything else. And so that was how it kind of came out. I was just like, yeah, fuck it. I've always wanted to do it. I actually became an actor in many ways so that I could learn more about that process, so that I could be a better director. Both my parents are small directors. They do kind of like they're not small. My dad's actually quite tall, but they do like regional theatre, or did in Wales, and so I grew up in a rehearsal room, and I always wanted to do it, and I just fucking love actors, and I love working with actors, and so when this opportunity came up, it really was just like, fuck it, why not? Like, I think fear stops you from doing things, and it certainly does me, and so I just kind of just put that to bed and went for it.
Was it hard for you to stay behind the camera?
No, it really wasn't actually, except for my legs are in the movie. Yeah, a little cameo. Shame I wasn't wearing these bad boys. By the way, $15. Charity shop. We know these are the real star of the show, I think. Here, I've got a question. Okay. It wasn't hard at all, actually. As I said, I really love actors, and I love working with actors. And a big part of me making the film was I wanted to create my own process. I'm really inspired by filmmakers like John Cassavetes and Derek Cianfrance and Mike Lee and Shane Meadows. All fucking men, Jesus. It's because they get, and that's another story. But I was really wanted to. I really wanted to create my own process, filtered through my experience as an actor, that would give the most authentic and real performances, and it was an experiment, for me, and so it was a joy to find this process with the actors, and I could bore you with what that is, but it's a long story too. I'm talking too much. Oh, you want to speak to these guys?
I think that's how it works. I'm going to throw that over to the audience, actually, if you don't mind. So, see if there's any questions out there. Does anyone? Yeah, right down here.
Sorry, I didn't think everyone could hear me. So what I really loved about the movie was that, like, it feels, you just forget that you're watching something, and you're just like, you're laughing along like you're a friend, and you're cringing when bad things are happening. What drew you guys to play the parts of the movie, and Tom, what was it that really made you inspired to make it?
So the question was, what drew the actors to the film, and what inspired Tom to make the film?
For me, I just loved Jenna. I loved the. I just loved the ideas that Tom had for this character. He really wanted to explore the complexity of the women he knew in his life and our own experiences and sort of the things we don't normally see on screen. And I just was so thrilled by everything that Jenna was, and was so sad when we finally wrapped. Like when we wrapped, I didn't know who I was, and I was like, where's Jenna? Because she makes me feel brave, and she makes me feel, you know, she was just such an incredible character for me. And also for me, the process of working with Jay and Tom, not only, you know, because Tom and I are partners, but also because I believed so much in his vision and what he wanted to do, and trusted so much his talent in terms of directing, and it just showed so much. You can feel it in terms of the intimacy you're talking about. Tom really created a space where not only the cast, but the crew felt invested, and like they had a creative voice, and like they were part of it. You know, their personal vision was part of it, so that was amazing. And then obviously Jay is somebody that Tom and I have both watched for years and admired his humor and his like unabashed humanity, you know. So I think that was, I mean, there was just no reason not to do the movie.
Thank you.
I love these guys and their work. I had done so from afar when I first met Tatiana. We started talking about her boyfriend, and then she said it was Tom Cullen, and I was like, the guy from Weekend? The fucking guy from Weekend? And I think the rest of our...
he's my guy.
He's my guy! And then I think the rest of the meeting was about Tom. I think about that movie a lot, still. I don't know how old it is, but I was just obsessed. And they're just wildly inspired human beings, and I had met them, like, I got to meet Tom, like, briefly on the red carpet, and, you know, just, like, wildly inspired, vulnerable human beings. I want to do that. I'm already doing it. Might as well, like, get filmed. Yeah.
And my inspiration was that I really wanted to explore, I guess, my own successes and failures as a partner in a relationship. And I wanted to make the most honest portrayal of that experience that I could, in the hope that it might resonate. I think that the best art is always the one that is coming from the gut and the heart. And that's kind of what I did. I just wanted to spew it all out there, you know. You know, I think Tat and I have been together for 8 years, and from previous relationships, but you know, also the evolution of one another, you know, and the struggles of when each other evolves and you have to catch up, and communication and transparency, and you know, it's just difficult, and it's hard, and it's challenging, and it's wonderful and beautiful. And so I wanted to kind of create that, and the structure, I create the structure like that because I wanted to kind of, the film to be experiential. You know, when we reflect on memories, we don't look at them, well, when we look back on a relationship, we don't look at it linear. I think that we juxtapose our different moments in order to build our emotional landscape and our own narrative. And so that was kind of something I wanted to explore as a new way of telling what is a well-trodden path, which is the romantic drama.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to the, I think there's one over here in the red shirt, yeah.
Thank you. So what was the biggest challenge of shooting the movie in 9 days, right? With the movie covering 6 years' time?
I actually don't want to answer that question because you're a Liverpool fan, and
I'm sorry.
actually, can you leave?
I probably should have called on you in the first place.
Yes, 9 days. We actually had 10 days, but we lost a day because of a storm called Brian. Only the Brits would call a storm Brian, but the Americans are like Hercules. We're like, yeah, Brian's coming in. It's a bad one. And we was the final scene of the movie. I was supposed to have a day to shoot that, but Brian fucked us up. So I had like half a day, 4 hours to shoot it. And it was thanks, Brian. And so yeah, we were reduced to 9. I built one of the parts of the structure was that I wanted to, you know, that it lent itself to that 9-day schedule. You know, if I'm going to stick in 100 scenes, I'm just going to be constantly compromised. And so I created these long scenes, it's almost theatre-like, where we could really get in it with the actors. And I really wanted to be able to each scene go from the start to the finish. You know, I didn't want to have to break it up. And so being able to spend a day on one scene, even if it's 20 minutes or 10 minutes, I just lied, there isn't a 20-minute scene in the movie. But you know, you get the idea that the long scenes, you can really go in there with the actors and just go in really deep. And it was tricky, it was really hard, but it was also a lot of fun. And I always feel that the instinct and the kind of chaos of like, we just got to do this, often brings out a special energy that is kind of irreplaceable. And I think it kind of, in some way, vibrates in the film, you know.
Thank you. We're still better than Manchester.
Take it outside.
I hope Man City win the league. That's what I mean.
That's okay. I don't mind.
You know this dude wears armor and has swords and shit? So just like,
I'm gonna fuck you up, man.
just looking out for you, bro. Just looking out for you.
Yeah, in the yeah.
First of all, kudos, man. Like Jay and Tat, such beautiful performances. So
Great question. Great question.
so honest and amazing. Tom, I cannot believe this is your directorial.
Thanks, Pablo.
It's fucking phenomenal. But like there were some things that stood out to me in shot making and in editing. Like the rhythm that you have for a feature film debut is astounding, and some of the shots were like just so incredibly well put together. I wanted to ask if you know about the DP and the editor. Did you work with people in particular that really helped you in that process?
Yeah, I'd like to really do a big shout out actually to my DP. He's probably sure he's not here. He's shooting a film, but my editor here is Gina Hirsch. Well, my creative love, and also my composer is here, Chris Hyson. We've been best friends forever, and it was an honour to work together. Yeah, I really want, you know, with the structure and the 6 scenes, it was important to delineate which one was which, and I wanted to kind of build a very specific vocabulary for each scene. And so Bobby and I talked about it, and I kind of was like, listen, dude, I want to change the aspect ratio for each section. And he was terrified and thought it would be rubbish, and he might be right, who fucking knows. But I wanted to experiment with that, and I wanted to use the camera in different ways. So the obvious thing is the comparison between year 1 and year 3. Year 1 is 4/3. I wanted to kind of emulate the feeling of the rush of being in love. So the character is very central in the frame. It's very tight. I wanted to create a shallow depth of field, so everything feels really close. And I wanted to make all of these sections kind of non-linear and jump through time, so it feels distracted and like, oh my god, what's going to happen next? This is, you know, that feeling of love. And we, the Photochem guys who are also here, who graded the film, we kind of used a Fuji film stock in the grade and we kind of reduced and changed the level of the grain to kind of give a different feel. So the feel in year 1 is that it's very grainy and it's very kind of live. And in comparison to year 6, we shot 239 is the widest we go, and this cameras are on sticks. There's no energy in the camera. I push the actors to the edge of the frame, and there's the palette is very kind of pulled back, and it gives that kind of stilted, cold feeling. And we just had a lot of fun with the camera and how to use it, and how we can aid the storytelling through our edit and through the grade. And yeah, it was a real experiment for me. You know, I've never directed before, so it was, in many ways, I think, the beauty of never directing before is that you don't know what's wrong, and so you just do it. Yeah, so that was kind of fun. Thanks for the question.
Can I say something about that real quick? So when Tom told me he was going to use this incredibly experimental style, I mean, as you guys probably know, I have worked with a lot of first-time filmmakers. So, and my general experience with first-time filmmakers is they try and bring on some kind of like, you know, very lofty cinematic goal. And if they do it, it fucks up the movie or it fucks up the performances. So I was like, Tom, I love all these ideas, but we need to shoot this with 2 cameras so that we get the performances because we have 9 fucking days. Sorry, 10 days, 10 days minus Brian. So, and I was like really pushy about it. Because I've had so many experiences like that where we'll start shooting a movie and then we have to completely change the style and go to a more standard coverage, basically. But he was totally adamant, and not only did the style not impinge upon the actors, it was weirdly freeing, and he maintained the core and the heart and the story with the cinema, and I was like being schooled every day as to like his inspiration. I'm not kidding, I think he's one of our great living directors all of a sudden. I really believe that. I think you're witnessing the first day of an enormous career, and I just want to tell you publicly that you were right, and you're a fucking genius. But I'm still gonna come hard on first-time filmmakers. That sounded really bad. I don't want to get me too'd. I'm going to bring a strong philosophy of putting actors first. Jesus! Okay.
Do we have anyone over here? I just want to make sure I didn't miss anyone. You can follow that. Yeah, way in the back with the glasses, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you.
I love the way it was written. It's just so authentic and like genuine. Like the moments, especially with this on the dinner table scenes and stuff, just felt so honest and raw. I'm wondering like how much of it was super scripted and how, like did you do any sort of improv moments or was that kind of the actor's strategy?
Yes, so that is kind of the process that I wanted to develop. Just we've got 2 minutes, so I'm going to answer this as fast as I can. So, part of me wanted to get, how I wanted to get the most authentic performances I could was through a semi-improvisation. So there's some scenes that are scripted and there's some that aren't. And the ones that aren't, actually even the ones that are scripted, I wanted them to go off page. So, but the ones that aren't, what I would do is I wrote what's called a scriptment, which is a very detailed version of what I wanted the scene to be, what I wanted its midpoint turn to be, its kind of its development, the turns and the twists. So I did that, and I gave the actors that, very structured. I would then talk about the kind of beats and the things I wanted to hit in the scene, the moments, where their status is at, and the very specific things I wanted to talk about. So let's take the dinner scene, for example. In many ways, that is very much the kind of beginning of it's the essay right in the middle, which says this is what this is about, and this is all the things we're going to explore. And so all the actors knew that, and then I would start to kind of filter those ideas through the prism of their own experiences and the other actors' experiences, and they would start to talk about it, and then they would kind of start to talk with each other, and it would start the scene in many ways. And we would do this 2 hours before the crew would arrive. I would always have this 2-hour period. And I would shape and shift their improv, so I would direct them. And I'd be like, okay, no, instead of going this way, let's go this way. Well, how about if you say this? Rather than this, how about if you say this? And I would then get the shape of the scene that I wanted, but through in many ways, their experiences. There was sometimes I'd be like, I really need you to say this, and I want you to, but generally, through them. And we create these very specific beats in the scene, really, like a lot of them, and that became our script. So it'd be like a thought, a feeling, a move, an action, whatever. And the actors knew this. It's like a roadmap. I describe it like a downhill slalom. You have these fixed poles, and the skier has to go through them. But however wide or narrow the skier goes through them is up to them, as long as they get to the end and they don't fall over or go wide. It has to be clean. And so what it means is that the actors know what they're saying, but you have the best bits of improvisation, which is the thinking on the line, the kind of clear thought, and inherently having to listen. And so I got the scenes that I wanted, and I timed out each scene. I knew how long I needed the scene to be, and so I'd time it every time. If there were 20 seconds over, I'd be like, guys, we need to clean up those transitions, really clean up the thoughts. And so it has this kind of real, authentic liveness to it. And it's great, like, my mum's in it, my dad's in it, my brother, my sister, two of my cousins in it, and some of them have never acted before in their life, but through this process, I think, not being burdened by a script, they were really able to kind of lose themselves. And with the long scenes, they were able to just kind of fall into it and allow it to carry. So the dinner scene, I wanted it to be very live. It's a great dinner scene in A Woman Under the Influence, where it feels, that kind of great 70s cinema where it just feels like it's just so live and the sound design's a bit kind of clashy, but it's just, I wanted to emulate that. And so I made sure that there was always at least 3 people in each shot, and you have this kind of live energy, and Gina, my editor, is a master, and we had a lot of fun kind of cutting it up and finding these moments. But I think it kind of gives a real energy to the scenes, and I think my next film, actually, one of the people here who I'm desperate to work with, he's already agreed to it, idiot. But I'd like to experiment with that process more, and yeah, I think it was very freeing. The actors were able to really dive in and let their emotions go and really honestly connect to that emotion. It starts here and it comes out here, rather than anything pre-planned or rehearsed that sometimes can happen with script. Not that these guys would ever do that. They're such live, funny, present actors that I would never have that problem. It was an experiment, and it was really fun.
I hate to be the one to shut this down.
No, I probably went about 3 minutes over.
It's fine. Forgiven. But we really appreciate the film. We're so pleased you could be here with your debut feature film. It's great to have you back as well. And thanks to you all for coming out. And thank you so much. Thank you so much.